Sorry. I'm so late to this party. Well, like 3 minutes, but so late. And I don't even know where my phone is. Do you see how when I don't have mascara on or anything, just I don't even have like eyes, they just disappear. If somebody could let me know, if you could hear me, that would be cool, because I am crazy late setting this up. Because I was doing Halloween things with my friends. Yeah, so if you can let me know if you can hear. I'm going to jump up and get my phone because I have some notes in there, but I'm sorry I'm gross and late. Jeepers creepers. Cool thing is, hi. Oh, Sarah Becky. She does not respond to group text, but she's on here. Sarah Becky, can you hear me? She's alive. So she can hear me, I think. Maybe. Look at this shirt. Survive Bruce Lashley. That's good, right? Let's start copping some merch. Okay, so Sarah Becky, you're live and you can hear me. Oh, she can hear me. Oh, look at this weird thing with my hair. Ooh. This is the ugliest you're gonna ever see me, I promise. I have been in the woods all day long. I have all of the marks and scrapes and bug bites to prove it. But I just raced here. No, nothing. I still feel like I prefer it over my mugshot, but the jury is out. The jury that I don't have. Should we put them side by side? I still feel like it doesn't all the way do me justice. Gotta laugh at it. Anyways, so I'm gonna grab my phone super quick while everybody jumps on. I'm so glad you're alive, Sarah. Raising ballers is hard, I know. Her kid made like this crazy volleyball team after making a crazy basketball team as like a 6th grader. It's wild. But, So, I do have news. I don't really know what it means, but it is news. Hi everybody. I've already told everybody else that this is as hideous as you're gonna see me outside of my mugshot, which is here. Whatever. Because I've been in the woods all day during Halloween things. So I'm a little bit frazzled. But it was fun because I love these things. I live for holidays. Thanks for coming on. Oh, she's with me. It says, hey, Auntie Kay. Hey, baby Kay. Little baller girl. Oh, yeah. So, anyways, I don't know how quick you guys want to just vertical dive, but I haven't had a lot of like human contact today, so I could do that if you want to. I know that Jen, whenever she comes on, has AirPods, so that's fancy. Makes me feel like I could say more things so her kids can't hear. Hi, Jean. Hi, everyone. Brandy 2V. Jules, Jenny. Hey. Oh. You like how my eyes disappear without mascara? Should I do one, not the other one, so we can see the difference? Who cares? I don't care. It's been a long week, guys. Who's ready for Halloween? Not me, but I am ready to get ready for Christmas, if any that matters. So, Bruce has a deposition date. Whether he's going to show up or not, the jury that we don't have is out, but let me get my phone. Un momento. Oh. All the texts. My mother. Hello, mother. I'm on, if you're on. How terrifying would it be to be like a mother in this situation, right? If one of my kids were in this situation and they have this like whole just vault of facts, but then to still see their kid just like all across the internet like they did something they didn't do. Oh, worst fear vibes, especially without mascara. If I were to go to prison on this fake stuff, this is what my face would look like. But my hair wouldn't be as long because that's definitely fake too. It would be like, hold on, let me find some real hair. It's hard. I feel like this is my real hair. I don't know. Anyways. Sarah, we must do these things. Give people the truth. So, what questions do you guys have? Is my hair real? Real hair. Some of this is real. I just want everyone to know. A lot of it is not real. But I can send you to a girl. It's super creasy regardless right now because as I said, I was in the woods all day doing a Halloween trail because priorities. Stay out of prison on fake stuff versus Halloween trail. Halloween trail. I have my Halloween earrings on. Anyways, so let me look in here. And Bruce was given a new deposition date. You would think I would remember these things off, but I do not. Oh, here we go. It is Talk About Halloween, October 29th. Boom. I wish I could be there. Fly on the wall. I don't think I'm allowed. I wasn't invited. Hi, I Heart Sports. Oh, all the sports. I wanted my kids to play soccer, but they never did. Conversation for a different day. Played all the other sports, but yeah, so little Brucey Bruce is supposed to be deposed. We'll see if he shows up this time. I'm not sure. Anyways, so what do you guys have for me? I will wager anyone. It doesn't happen. SS. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Which is why we're all here, friends. So that guy and that guy can't make just all this stuff that they have created. Probably more him than him, but he's guilty by friendship association, I feel like. He won't show up just as lawyer. Yeah, it's not the way it works with the state, though. He's a state witness, so he's got to show up. As far as I have been told. There's no dismissing. You know, once you file a false police report on someone, you have to keep up with your false narrative, as far as I've been told. So, unless he just does not cooperate and they try to drop everything, which this awesome shirt from the Just Nick Method, survived Bruce Lashley. I feel like I need another one that's like, give me a jury. Give me a jury. Because I would love one. Because outside of him not showing up or cooperating, they just like, I guess all this goes out into the abyss so he can just destroy my life, you know, for 2 years and it doesn't matter. Which I think is, if I were a betting person, which I was a poor kid, so I'm really not. But if I were, then I would guess that he would probably just want it to go away. That way he doesn't have to answer for all the lies that he told in the PCA, aka probable cause affidavit, that he and his friend made up. Non-detective Christopher Farley, who's like gone from social media. So if he doesn't show up, can he get a bench warrant or something? I freaking hope so. Like, if I were to go and make a false police report about someone, then, I mean, I was already arrested on stuff I didn't do. So I feel like I would definitely be arrested on something I did do like that. But I don't know. We're apparently in different income brackets, so different rules. We'll see. But I feel like whenever you can prove over and over again, I'm not going to bore everybody with all those details on and on and on so they get barked at. But you can go back on the YouTube at Lashley Lies, and you can find all of the previous videos that I posted here where I share facts, and lies on lies on lies. Hi. So no, I feel like, yeah, I don't believe he has an attorney. Can I turn around and sue him for defamation of character? Oh, that's the plan. If there were ever a plan, that is the plan. What did he do to you? Hi, Lisa. You can go back on my YouTube at Lashley Lies and you can catch up. But in a nutshell, I worked for a rich guy, and when his partner passed away and I didn't want to do immoral, in my opinion, things for him as far as their books go and writing $300,000 checks, etc., he turned around, and when his daughter asked if he had spent X amount of money on me throughout the 5+ years I worked for him, and he said no, and so then him and his friend were able to lie all throughout a PCA and just get me arrested with no grand jury, no indictment, nada, just his little buddy, his detective, non-detective, I like to call him Christopher Farley, wrote down in the PCA, and told me that if I didn't come in and give my version of the story, then I would be arrested. I have been asked since then if I had just not checked myself in / turned myself in, what would have happened. And maybe, I don't know, there's some attorneys on here who could let me know. I don't know. I just did what everybody told me to do because I'm not a criminal and I don't know how this works. But I knew I did not do any of this, and like I said, in the past YouTubes, I have shared evidence on top of evidence on top of evidence that I feel like very clearly justifies my version of reality, which is reality. But, yeah, just a bad guy who is a coward and didn't want to say the truth to his kid. That is in a super tiny nutshell, but you could go back and... what was the actual charge though? Oh. It was grand theft of, you know what, unlike him, I don't want to misspeak, so I'm going to tell you all the truth. I believe it was grand theft of, probable cause for this arrest, fake. This is grand theft of $200,000 or more. That's what I want to say. But let me... Okay. 812.014 space 2A1 dash grand theft first degree $100,000 or more. So... I've said on previous posts, like, I would pay someone $1,000 cash money if they could steal $10 from Bruce. Legit. Because he has all of the text alerts. He has all of his bank statements. He's the only one who could move any money into any accounts that I would be spending anything from. Yet you don't have access to accounts. 1,000,000,000%. You have been on all the other lives where I show that. Did you get off the bogus charges? Thank you, Lisa. We are working on it. So it seems right now, my boss who made all this stuff up, so he's given tons and tons of money. Let me digress. He also, so he got a DUI in 2019 when I was working with him. We got it expunged. At the beginning of this year in March, he got another DUI, and he called this guy, his friend, who I have text messages, and I've shown on previous lives, but, you know, for giggles, let's pull them up again, that he was going to have lunch with, you know, the sheriff of our town, if you're not from here, and so close, and he, so they were going to have lunch and all the things, buddies. And after his partner, who was another one of my bosses, who was much richer, passed away suddenly, I would not write checks out of a checking account that I had never written out of before. And so when that didn't happen, and also things as far as other companies, other LLCs that he was on, he was thinking that he was going to continue to get the proxy, like basically the vote. He was going to get to like walk around like, you know, Lashley Court, and Lashley Crab House is named after him, which we have talked about in other lives. None of those things are true. His dad was a long time ago the mayor, and so Lashley Court via Lashley Crab House was named after his dad, not after him. He does not have the majority like ownership of any of these. Yeah, so, has a DA recused himself? So that's where I was going with this, SS. Thank you. When he got that DUI in March of this year, the DA, Amira Fox, went and, so she, and then obviously the rest of her, I was going to call them squad, but they're not really squad people. The rest of the DA, like, I don't even know, assistant district, like, I don't even know how this goes. But Amira Fox recused herself in March from this guy's latest DUI. Apparently, I've heard, he hit a local physician, totaled his Escalade, is now driving a white Tahoe, and still at bars, I hear, because people tell me when they see him, because he's all confused in the parking lot and doesn't know, you know, that Bacardi getting to you, bud. But he, like, can't find his car, I guess, on and on, with a DUI, because he thinks he can do whatever he wants, because he's his friend. So when he got arrested for this latest DUI in March, he called this guy on his personal cell phone. I have been told by a super credible multiple people that that he talked with Sheriff Mel on his personal cell phone for over 20 minutes, which is going to bring us to the good stuff that I was going to share tonight. Aside from his new deposition date, so the first time, for whatever reason, he decided not to participate. So now he is scheduled to be deposed again, where we get to ask him all the questions. And I've had all these questions like, you know, do your attorneys, are they okay with you doing this? Yes, they're okay with me doing this because so much evidence. So much stuff that I can't even tell you guys. Was he just going to take over the other man's stuff? 100%. He went in and like was going through his whole office to find this checkbook that he wanted me to write checks from, that I was not going to write checks from, was mad at me that I told his, you know, his like, I don't even know how to say it. It was just his anniversary on Sunday, so that was really hard. The 2 years without him here, Rick. Rick was actually a super genuine, super intelligent human being. So I had the opportunity to sit across from him for an extended period of time and work with him and his daughter, who is also super smart and has come on and has her own kids and her home businesses, but has, you know, had to also grieve her dad's passing and deal with all of this, you know what, Storm? I couldn't have done it the way that she has, and I think that I'm a pretty, like, not a dum-dum, but it's been so difficult. How's already been 2 years? I mean, it's one of those weird things where it, like, feels like forever and also yesterday, right? Like, it's so strange. The amount of things that have happened in this 2-year period that Rick, his partner, who had, again, like I would call him Oz behind the scenes, had all of the majority ownership of all of these companies that Bruce was able to be a part of. He just got to kind of be like the outloud face of it, that no one even really loved. Because if you look back a couple lives from now, when I talked about the huge, like, sexual harassment thing and whatever, like, what does it say? Lisa McCall, is partner death suspicious? That's a loaded question. It's hard for me to answer that. So I'm just gonna rock with the truth. Whatever. The truth for me is, yeah, right? Lisa, like, the truth for me is yes. And it's super complex, so I don't want to put anybody in any weird place, but yes, the truth for me would be yes. Fox has not stepped down. From my case, nope. Only from the DUI, saying that they have, you know, whatever. She has conflicted interest because they have, you know, whatever, a friendship or a, whatever, some kind of conflicting interest. I have no idea how the state attorney can step down from a DUI case and not from my case, because if you have enough conflicting interest to step down from a DUI case, when he got on the phone with Sheriff Permel, and so I guess they took his blood alcohol level at the hospital, and if you look back on some of the stuff I shared the actual document. I'll pull it up on my phone and show you again. But it was, I believe his blood work was a 0.161 when he arrived at the hospital. I apologize again for how disgusting I look today. It's so gross. Wow. It's hard for me to look at myself. It's fine. So, oh, that mugshot though. So it says his blood work in the hospital in March after he like rear-ended, totaled his Escalade. I have heard that thank you. Very natural. You're right. Very, very natural. It doesn't look like I really have eyebrows, but it's okay. Or eyelashes. They're there somewhere, I promise. It's just the woods. The woods and me all day. But, so Amira Fox recused herself from his DUI, but in this March has not recused herself or her squatter team from my fake charges in September of last year. This shows quite clearly. It says, and I know this is so hard for you guys to read, and I'm sorry, it's like backwards and whatever, but it was an hour after he was at the hospital. Right. So this says, while sitting, so I'm going to read this and show you that it's real. But if you go back on my YouTube, if you don't believe me, that's totally cool. I literally invite every single person here to be the judge. If I never get a judge and jury, this is the whole point of it. Ask me all the hard questions. Let me give you all the actual proof. Do not dare take my word for it. For real. Ask me all the things and I will give you all the answers. So, like I said, I'm going to read this from my phone because I don't have a hard copy in my notebook right now. But you can go back to that YouTube or any of my social media and you can see this document yourself, okay? So I'm not asking anybody to believe anything that I say. Assume I'm the biggest liar, $100,000 thief. Assume all of that, okay? But then let me show you that it's not true. So this says, I said, look it up. While sitting with Bruce in the ER, exam room 2, at approximately 21:44 hours, I am terrible at that kind of clocking, but if somebody in our military, thank you for your service, could tell me what that time was, that'd be great. Bruce was read a Miranda warning, which I thought it was Miranda rights, but this document says Miranda warning. I don't know if they're different. I have no idea. So it says, after the warning was read, Bruce stated he understood his rights as they were read to him, and he stated that with those rights in mind, he agreed to speak with me, which is, I'm assuming, the arresting officer who, I don't know, maybe he still has a job, maybe he doesn't. Oopsie. So Bruce was read the interview questions on the influence report, and his responses were documented accordingly. While under Miranda, Bruce was then read implied consent to provide a sample of blood while at the hospital to determine the alcohol content in his blood. Bruce agreed to provide a sample. Bruce was then asked to sign a medical release form for the result of the blood testing, which he also agreed to and signed. Bruce was seen by a physician, and after approximately 2 hours, Bruce's nurse, Justin, hey Justin, entered the room and advised the results had been completed and his discharge paperwork had been completed. Bruce then asked his nurse, hey Justin, what the results of his blood tests were. Justin, nurse, then looked up the results of the test and advised Bruce his blood alcohol content was 0.161. Ah, this thing is so weird. Again, look it up yourself if you want to, but if you can't see that, 0.161. Ooh, it's roughly 8:57. I forgot what you said. Oh, awesome. Okay. So, like, I mean, your blood alcohol level is 0.161, like before 9 p.m. maybe? And you're still out drinking on town? Like, I digress. Bruce was then re-secured. So I'm assuming they took him to the hospital and then maybe re-arrested him? Not sure. After his friend couldn't get him out, maybe a little bit of that. I'm not sure. Which means it was higher at the actual time of the accident. Thank you, Jenny. Here we are asking the good questions. So 2 hours later, so says this report, he blew his blood work, I'm not even going to say blew, his blood work says 0.161. But this is where it gets very interesting. Don't miss this part, guys. So we already know that Amira Fox has since recused herself from his DUI case, but not my, whatever, $100,000 grand theft fake case. Weird. But also, 2 hours after he was at the hospital, they get results that his blood work says that he was a 0.161. And what is it in Florida? It's like a 0.08. I'm not a criminal or alcoholic, so I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure. Is it not like a 0.08? Okay, so 0.161. Keep that in the back of your heads. Oh, yeah, 0.08. Thank you again. So 0.08. This says 2 hours after he was at the hospital after hitting someone else and being cognizant enough on some sort of footage, I've been told, to call Sheriff Bromell on his personal cell phone and speak with him for what I have been told. Let this not be a defamation case. Again, ex-husband. It's not defamation if it's the truth, so you're welcome for not saying more. Leave that where it is. There will be more to come after this, guys. Sunshine counseling, all that stuff. There's so, we go vertical, but let's not waste the hour that we have together. So he called Sheriff Bromell, so I've been told, and talked to him for 20 minutes on his personal cell phone. Probably, if I were a betting woman, which I've already said I'm not really, but if I were, I would think, I'm trying to burn the clock down, right? Like, I know I'm drunk. I know I did a bad thing. I know my friend probably can't save me from this one, just like he couldn't in Hillsborough County in 2019. So I'm going to, wait it out, have an injury, do whatever. But this says 2 hours later, they're giving these results. 0.161. Hold that. Bruce was then resecured in the rear of my patrol vehicle and transported to jail. Okay, so he's been there at least 2 hours when we have his results, and now he's going to be resecured and discharged and sent to jail because he is the actual criminal, guys. Okay, so then it says Bruce was then read implied consent at the jail. I am not sure because all this was a blur. But who gets read this implied consent, Miranda? Like, didn't he already do this? It says up here that he already had agreed to the implied consent. So why are we doing it again? It's confusing. It's like special rules. But it says, okay, Bruce was then read implied consent at the jail at approximately 23:22 hours. Somebody else hit me up with that again. Accident happened at 8:30. 2 hours later, his alcohol was 0.161 to 11:22. Okay, so you've jumped ahead. Thank you. So we're getting there. So at 23:22, he's given implied consent again because he didn't consent enough the first time, I guess. Bruce agreed, and the result was, oh, be darn. Who wants to guess it was less? Anybody? Me? Okay. So he was read the second consent at 23:22, and this time he agreed to provide a breast sample, and the result was, oh, who knew? 0.085. Still above legal, but how much time has this been allowed to go on? And he gets 2 different consents and 2 different blood alcohol levels. And you guys, somebody tell me which one you think he got charged with. The one closer to the time when he hit the physician out with his wife on just a regular night, not asking for any of this, just like me, right? Living my life, doing my best, being hyper loyal, even in many situations. Go back and watch the lives where I didn't really want to, but for the greater good, etc., right? So I didn't ask for all of this. The physician didn't ask for all of this. But here we are. Bruce gets to call non-detective Farley, who is this guy's boy, and he just shows up at his own house because Bruce is too important to go to a police department and file a police report. The non-detectives are going to come to him, and they're going to take his daughter's spreadsheet, homemade spreadsheet, and Bruce is like, no, I didn't know about any of that. And then non-detective Farley is going to pad that PCA with things that we can, again, go back in the other lives, super prove or lies, like a whole literal voice recording that was legal, that was sent to us by another attorney, hey, Bogle, where non-detective Farley says in the PCA that all these charges should be attributed to me. He never even asked. First of all, Bruce was the most recent client of Bogle Law. 1. 2, non-detective Farley said in the probable cause affidavit, the fake one that he wrote and signed, only him, no grand jury, no indictment, no nothing, okay? So he only has to have probably his little neighbor friend notarize his signature saying that there's probable cause to arrest me on this. At first I was told it's $200,000 grand theft and whatever. This paperwork says $100,000. So somehow I'm already halfway out of it, but I digress. So is this not like ridiculous to anyone yet? Like so ridiculous. So he goes to jail. Hours later, his blood alcohol is 0.161. Hours after that, he has Miranda rights again, and he's at the jail, and now it's 0.085. And guess what they charge him with? 0.085, which is wild. Let me ask, is this physician well done? So, flew over the 3 hours. Yes, right, he did. And then we waited even longer than that to put the actual blood alcohol level on paper. So he was charged with 0.085. The legal limit is 0.08. So it looks like, maybe he had was poured a heavy drink. But the reality was, I don't know, what's 8 plus 8? And that was even 2 hours after the accident. So why in the world is Amira Fox recusing herself from this DUI and not from my case one? And also, why are we waiting hours and hours and hours to read him multiple Miranda rights? And to if this is not come on. I really want a jury. For real. Because at this point, how do you even get one? If all of these rules don't apply to him, I thought Bogle Law was just family law, sorry. It's why would he hire them? He hired them, and I can show you, or you can look back, because they sent the last demand letter to the last girlfriend that he had to get all of the things that he had given her, back after they broke up. So this is Bruce's very retaliatory, I guess, just routine behavior, over and over and over again. So give you all the things as long as you do what he wants you to do, and then as soon as you don't do what he wants you to do, write 300,000 plus checks out of a checking account that you've never written anything out of before, like 24 hours, not even, from his partner who you also worked for and loved and admired and cannot even go into his office without being upset. But I am supposed to dig through said office to find this checkbook and write this huge check. And when I won't do that, not only will I would not do that, but I mentioned it to his partner's daughter. And then I also had to tell him facts about the LLCs and I kind of had to be, this is a real shoot the messenger situation, to be honest. Like, I didn't sign the LLCs that you signed when you got a divorce in 2019 that said that the family would be bought out. He went into this thinking that I believe that he, even in the text message I showed last week, was like, no, I think that the operating agreements show that he thought that he was going to continue to get to vote for Rick because April wasn't going to take on that other job on top of losing her dad, on top of her own companies, on top of all this other stuff. He did not realize that that was not going to be the case for the majority of the businesses that Rick was involved in. The majority of those businesses were going to be bought out by other owners, including him, hence the $300,000 check liquid that he needed right away because he needed to have access to the funds to be able to buy more shares, to be able to have any sort of say in any of these LLCs that he has never basically had a say in, especially not since the divorce in 2019 when he gave half of everything that he had, including all the voting rights and all of the things for all of these businesses that he was involved in because of his partner Rick, that nobody had even had an actual, Rick's daughter had not even been able to be put in place as the personal representative of the estate by the time Bruce is pulling computers out of the office, firing me, losing his mind. When I wouldn't go and write the checks, he and his daughter, Brandolyn, who had nothing to do with any of the companies ever before, would go into his partner's office and rummage through every single thing until they found this checkbook. Literally, while Rick's daughter is doing his daughter's hair, he and Brandolyn's husband, Mike Daughtry, would go and be rummaging and sitting in Rick's latest car that he had bought, Rolls Royce I called him Ricky Rich, because of that car, but I could have never opened the door of that car, not even 24 hours after he passed away. For them to be laughing and joking and sitting in it and going through his office is next level gross. And I don't feel like that's defamatory. I feel like that's my opinion of what I saw, and it was sick. And I said that. And so all in all, guys, really we're here because I wouldn't do what this drunk guy wanted me to do because my conscience wouldn't allow it. And so, I don't know. If you don't believe that this stuff happens to real people, then open up your Bible and see all the ways it does. Yeah, Joseph. Anyways, I'll keep reading. So, Amira Fox recuses herself, 0.161 blood alcohol, but we're just going to throw that out because Justin in the hospital must be all the way wrong. We're going to give him more hours, and we're going to let it, because, come on, I'm not a scientist, but what does your blood alcohol level do over time? Who has now stayed at a party, eaten some carbs, drank some water, maybe if your friend is cool enough to have, a little blow thing just to make sure that, safety first. Because over time, that blood alcohol level changes. And so why was Bruce given 4+ hours to get his blood alcohol level to be barely over legal? I'll tell you why. So he gets taken to the jail. Remember, it was initially, says Nurse Justin, if you're watching or you have friends watching, I would love to put you in this box and hear your story. I really would. Did you believe it? Did you not? Were you scared for your life? Someone wrote where do you land? Let me know. So, blah, blah, blah. So Bruce was then issued DUI citation, #AETIELE, and given a court date of April 1st, 2025, which Amira Fox recused herself from, at 8:30 hours. Bruce was also issued citation, #AL3S6IE, for DUI property damage with the same court date. That's the physician that he destroyed his car on, I'm sure, him and his wife's date night. Homeboy is just like out there just helping the people all day long. Takes little wifey out on a date. This guy gets wasted with his sad, sad, rich life. Plows into him. Do you know how many text messages I got the next morning? Like, oh, some Charlotte County, like, you know, deputy is losing his job today because Bruce was arrested for a DUI. Not until later did I see, oh, it was with property damage. So that's why he was not just let go like previous times in Charlotte County that I know of for sure, where he would just get pulled over, but drive off. No tests, no questions. He's got the sheriff card, so drive off. You know how many DUIs he probably would have gotten otherwise? Again, not defamation. This is true. So let me go back here because there's a lot. Maybe wrong, but I would think the blood alcohol would be more accurate than the breathalyzer, right, Jenny? I'm with you. Bogle law, no. Bogle law does all different sorts of law, but this particular thing would have been considered civil, not criminal. He was just trying to, you know, get some money back. It's frightening how she can play both sides. Amira Fox, or I'm assuming Amira Fox. Okay, Charlotte County. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. Hey, Montgomery, your firefighter buddy is on shift. He also drank a ton of water and coffee. Yeah, I bet he did. I bet that arresting officer was scared for his job, and I'm sure he sat there and was feeding it to him. Is, again, not defamation, my opinion. You can look on the ticket in the box where it says crash involved. Oh, hold on. It's checked no. Really? That's news to me. Because he definitely crashed. Wow. It makes sense, though, because that physician has a whole team of attorneys and PIs that are on this case. And how do I know this? Because they have reached out to me personally. And I might have given them a little information they didn't have before. Because why not? Why should all the innocent people continue to be held hostage by this guy's he's just allowed to do whatever he wants whenever he wants, right? And unless we have a whole fan base, whole meet and greet Leroy, like unless we have all this stuff, then we just get probable cause affidavits like about us that are completely not true, with nobody asking any questions. Hey, Bruce Lashley, you really are the self-proclaimed most powerful guy in Southwest Florida. It would seem, because who else can do this? It's crazy. And so, yeah, so if the box is legitimately checked that there's not a crash, that's insane. Because there was a crash. And how can this say with property damage if there wasn't a crash? Who's damaging the property? But again, Amira Fox, help this make sense to us, girl. All that money to your campaign, which is also public record if you guys want to look it up. So Bruce agreed. The result was blah, blah, blah. He provided copies of both citations for his records. He was also provided a copy of the driver's exchange. Oh, this is funny, Jenny. It says he was also provided a copy of the driver's exchange for the accident, as well as a copy of the tow form, so he was aware his vehicle was towed to Cleveland Towing's tow yard. Last I checked, accident would mean that the crash box will be checked, right? Not according to Amira Fox, I guess. She's got all different rules. So has anyone else from the DA's office reached out to your attorney regarding this or your case? I'm not sure. So when everybody asks me what I'm allowed to talk about, am I allowed to talk, that I am. The only thing I'm not allowed to talk about is any information that comes right from my attorney. He says I can tell my story, I can answer questions about working with Bruce, I can basically answer any question except for that kind of question, because then I guess I could potentially put myself in a place where attorney-client privilege is not allowed, or who knows. I feel like they're just trying to keep it real safe because, you know, double rules apply to the regular person, but no rules apply to Bruce. So I think that, and I appreciate that my legal team is just trying to keep it, you know, from getting any worse than a probable cause affidavit being made up about you. But how much worse can it be? I mean, I guess I could go to jail for it, which would suck, but this is what I would look like if I did. Minus half the hair. That would make me sad too. For sure. Yeah, so Crash, I wish I could buy everything I wanted on someone else's credit card. Yeah, bedtime exact. Yep. This layout, I did it myself. I'm a little bummed you can't see all the little tags, but he hates this. This was his first UI mugshot. Yeah, all booked up. So he was all booked up in 2019, and he hates this. Do you know how many hours of my life I had to spend scrubbing this from the internet? So many hours. And according to Bruce, for free. No, I'm not that nice. Isn't public record great until they deny you it? I mean, yeah, what type business does Shady Bruce run? So that's the other part. So Bruce was brought on by Rick, who is not shady. So Rick's businesses were not shady. And Rick was friends with Bruce's older brother. Bruce was down and out years and years and years ago. Rick invited his, so Bruce's older brother passed away, Larry. He was adopted, and I'm pretty sure he's everyone's favorite. His mom would talk about him and cry. She would talk about Bruce and not cry. Facts. But, so I never got to meet Larry, but everything about him, he was hilarious, he was a good guy, all the things. And so then, you know, his mom would call him Sickly Bruce. It's this big, thing carved out in his stomach. If you've never seen it, I used to call it the chip bowl, because it's you could put chips in a bowl. Well, his mom said that whenever he was young, he was really, really sick, and in a Miami hospital forever. She seemed a little bit annoyed by it, my opinion. But, so here comes little, not cool, sickly brother. Big, cool, funny Larry brother passes away. Everyone's sad. Again, this is my version, okay? I'm storytelling right now. And from my perspective, it would seem as if Bruce was kind of given some opportunities because, of course, his dad was the mayor, and, you know, now your brother's passed, and the family name is on you, and you're just you know, with your not successful landscaping business. And I was told by Kevin Shirley himself that Bruce asked him if he would hire Barbie, which is Barb Lashley, which was Bruce's ex-wife, to be a bookkeeper or something. So these are the people who have all the money right now and think that they whatever. But so she was given the bookkeeping job by Kevin Shirley, who, look at all my legal papers, you guys. Who's on there? So a lot of this is quite personal indeed, it would seem. It always circles back, small town things. So he was given X amount of opportunity, I believe, by Rick because he was friends with his brother. Who knew that one of those opportunities would become a huge deal, and now forevermore, we are locked together, for better or worse, guys. It was the marriage of all marriages, because you can't, whatever Bruce does is going to affect the businesses as a whole, right? And so, what is that saying? How did they treat you when you worked there? So your message, you're in front of the microphone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did this. That picture was horrible. Yeah, he hated that picture, and he really, really wanted it down. So anyway, so sorry, Lisa. To answer your question, Bruce never had really the means to create his own business. The businesses that he was involved in were all, you know, courtesy of Rick, who was a through and through solid businessman, which is why Bruce was allowed to run all around town and, you know, pseudo make decisions, blah, 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 because Rick did not care, because he was not an actual decision maker, which is why the company computer for SLD, which owned the landfill, which initially made them rich, was never allowed to be moved out of the Muscle Car City office that was outside of an office that even Bruce and I's offices were in once we moved into Muscle Car City. Okay, so Muscle Car City is this huge place where Rick had all of his cars, and it was a museum, and he shut it down, and he had his own office in the middle of it. And then later, Bruce and I would move into that also after COVID. And then there was another office, which was previously his daughter, April's office, and that is where the SLD computer was. After Bruce and I moved into the office, Bruce had said, since I was going to be working for SLD now, writing checks from SLD, which has nothing to do with this case, by the way. Weird. So I was like, trustworthy there, but not here. Like, if I wanted access to actual tons and tons and tons of money, I had it, for the record. Never, ever, ever was I dishonest or did anything that was outside of the I have text messages for days. Every check I wrote, everything I sent, I was sending screenshots. Every check I got and then deposited, I'm sending pictures of it to either Bruce or Rick or both. And often just corresponding with bankers that they were involved in. I never, thank heavens, had any kind of unilateral access to any account ever. Not Lashley USA, not SLD, nothing ever. So could I write checks out of Lashley USA? Yes, I could. And he also got, like I showed you in the previous lives, text alerts, online banking statements, and every single, his CPA, he was copied in every single thing. Every time he got a new girlfriend, got a new house, got a new ring, got a new thing, blah, blah, blah. They get bank statements from this account that he is copied on straight from the bank, not from me. There's no cooking of anything. They got a accountant's copy of the Lashley USA QuickBooks. You cannot manufacture this, people. Like, it's just like a tiny morsel of common sense, and this is wild, right? Take you right back to my blood alcohol level is 0.161, and then 4 hours later it's 0.85, still over. He really tried his best, though. Really tried to give it to him. What a friendship. I wish that I could have the phone calls between these two about my fake charge, because, man, it would be interesting. I'll never get it. I'll probably never get a jury. I don't even know. That's why I'm doing this, because I'm sure he would love for this to just be quietly dismissed, with him not working with, him not being a witness or wanting to be deposed. This is going to be our second try if you're just jumping in. So he is scheduled to be deposed. This is the second time he's been scheduled, so we'll see what happens. But he's scheduled to be deposed, which means go and tell your version of the truth. Why would someone who was telling the truth not want to go and tell their version of the truth? I don't know. I've done plenty of lives. Somebody watch all of them and tell me when I've wavered one time or any of this evidence one time, and I'll go to prison for you. Show me one time. Exactly. So, who owned Lashley Marine? Lashley Marine was Bruce Lashley, Barb Lashley. That was sold and split and sold to Goodwill by the time I came on in 2019. I think maybe it was 2020, whenever it was actually, solid, but yeah. So, hey, everyone. Sorry. Don't ever underestimate anyone. You know what? All booked up. I don't know who you are, but I hope you come to the meet and greet that somebody's supposedly putting together, because I like where you're going with this. I feel like don't ever underestimate a woman, but especially one that came from nothing and was super loyal to you. Even though the situation was terrible, I walked away for a year and kept all of the secrets. His secrets, my ex-husband's secrets, Sunshine Counselor's secret. I'm the secret keeper. Kept all the bones for everybody. And then finally, at this point, when I am get arrested on nonsense, and, you know, all this other stuff is happening simultaneously at my, like, during my, the past year, I'm like, you know what? You know who's done keeping secrets? Me. Me. All done. So what does he still own? What does he still own? So he still owns shares in these companies. They're just much less. So he never had majority shares, like, right, in, like, Florida Premier Contractors, Southwest Engineering and Design, Smugglers Entertainment, on and on all these things. He did not have the majority shares for these things, but he would go out into the community and act as if he did, because what would actually happen is there would be a decision to be made, especially when it came to anything money, and then it would be Bruce, Rick, generally myself, oftentimes April, Rick's daughter, and there would be a decision made over whatever question was at play. Just one off the top of my head was Florida Premier Contractors. There was a time when, and so Rick had broken his hip. It was after that. So the other shareholders were able to purchase more interest in that company. Well, Rick had broken his hip, was kind of like down and out for a minute, and then some of the other shareholders had purchased, one of the shareholders had sold their shares, just dumped it back into the company, okay? So some of the other shareholders had kind of picked that up, and I'm not here to say whether it's right or wrong or whatever, but from my perspective and what I was involved in, it was done incorrectly as far as the LLC was concerned, the operating agreement was concerned. So Rick, with his broken hip, was like, nope. They can't do that. Like, because Rick never allowed anybody to have more shares than him in these companies. This is just one example I'm just trying to give you to kind of paint this picture for you. So Rick, with his, broken hip kind of healing, is, kind of crutching along. And I help him up the on-ramp until he goes to a full-blown meeting. Like, nope, this won't happen. When Rick did speak up, it was about money and about the bottom line. I am telling you, probably the most intelligent person I will ever meet when it comes to just a dollar. Do you put it in cars? Do you put it in assets? Do you put it in gold? Do you put it in whatever? I'm talking genius level. I really wish I would have appreciated it more as I sat across from him. I did, but I feel like that's how it goes, right? You don't really know what you have until you don't. And he, was taken suddenly, and like almost 2 years ago Sunday, it's been, a rough few days trying to reconcile all of this that he would have never allowed to happen had he still been here, ever. So we walk up the ramp and we go into this meeting, and he says, nope, take it back. Like, reset it to how it was before. And then, so that's basically it. When Bruce got a divorce from Barb, he gave her half, rightfully slow. Oh my gosh, I feel like she should have gotten way more than half for what she had to go through, but get my opinion. So she got half, and so that took his shares down. And so now, once Rick passes, Bruce, like my text messages from the live last week, you can go look on the YouTube, and I very clearly show you screenshots of our messages together, where he is not concerned about April, his partner of however many years, only daughter, who just lost her dad, who's already lost her mom. If that doesn't tell you the quality or character of a person, I don't really know what does. But all of these messages are about get the operating agreements. Where's the checkbooks? Where, he just went right to get, right? And so he already was under because of his divorce. The only reason he was able to continue being perceived by the community as someone who is a decision maker is because Rick allowed him to. Because Rick did not care about that. Rick only showed up to meetings, like I just explained to you about, when the shares... Oh, gotta fix this puzzle. 3 for 3 now, guys. Just way better than I was originally. These puzzles were super hard to begin in the beginning. Mastered it. Anyways, so I don't know if you guys can see that or if I just seem so crazy, but at a certain point in these lives, I have to solve a puzzle. Like, this isn't riddling enough, but yeah, I have to actually move things and do a puzzle. So I did it. We're good. I think if I get it wrong, it stops us, but we're fine. So, anyways, so the only reason that, like I said, Bruce was allowed to go around and be perceived as someone who's a decision maker is because Rick allowed it, because he did not care. You're talking like $20 million, this guy, possibly his last financial statement that I can remember, and that's like weighted down. You're talking like in everything, not liquid at all. And then opposed to Rick, who's 100 million plus, like, they're not the same. They're not the same. So Bruce was never going to make decisions for Rick, ever. Nor was anyone, because no one on any of those companies has ever had anywhere near the amount of volume that Rick had. So when I say he was Oz behind the scene, or, you know, after he got the Rolls Royce, I started referring to him as Ricky Rich, that's not a joke. That's like, and let me preface this with also that Bruce is the one running around with the Rolex and rented jets and, you know, fiancés every so many months with $300,000 rings that he then hires Bogle, that I'm charged with, but he is a client, I have shown you guys, to write demand letters for the $300,000 rings and however much the boat slips and all the stuff that he gives and then takes away. That's Bruce stuff. Like, Rick wore shirts that his daughter bought for him. Legit. Jeans. You could pick him out. I mean, that's not even what I'm saying right. You couldn't pick him out. At all. Aside from his super sick car collection, you could pick him out from that because it was dope. Dope AF. But aside from that, you would have never been able to pick him out. The most not pretentious person, the quiet one in the room, right? For anybody watching this, if you don't think you're the smartest person in the room, be quiet, because you'll be treated like you're smarter. The more you chatty chat, the dumber you look. Just so you know. Food for thought. Rick was not the one who needed to have all the words. He had nothing to prove. And you would have never picked him out. He was not jet setting and like whatever. But he had all the money. So Bruce was not a decision maker. And Bruce panicked because he thought he was going to be able to basically get his proxy, and he was not able to do that. His daughter panicked because she saw daddy's money being spent wherever. Well, girl, I was doing things so far above your pay grade. Like I proved with messages with his niece, her cousin, Larry's daughter, in lives subsequent to this, where, yeah, so he gets loaded and actually passes out in Shorty's parking lot, which, if none of you guys have been there, little bar, right on 41, very concrete-y shell-like material. Not comfortable. I wouldn't walk on it barefoot, okay? And he passes out. And there is an employee of Harper & Harris who is messaging his niece, Brandolyn's cousin. I have all this screenshots in previous lives. Go check them out on the YouTube. And they're saying, oh my gosh, we found Bruce. He was passed out. Same exact night, Bruce comes in and tells us he thinks he was drugged. Okay. But it was right after he had broken up with a girlfriend, and he goes on his little benders, and all of us are left to try to kind of clean it all up. So Brandolyn knows nothing about this life. She also doesn't realize that her dad goes around telling everyone that her husband, Mike Daughtry, who is apparently some kind of a Sarasota sheriff, some kind of something in Sarasota, but he's got a badge, I hear. But he told me, and Tasha Bailing Boyle, I don't know how many last names his first assistant has at this point. Wes? I'm not sure. But told everyone that would listen that Mike Daughtry also had a charge as a minor, so right before, I'm thinking he turned 18, for bludgeoning an animal to death. And the last I heard, you're not allowed to like be like a civil servant which is it's what they are, even though they act like they're not when they're shooting people in cold blood. Timothy Poole. Yeah, what's happening with him? Anyways, I hope murder charges. But if Amira Fox has anything to do with it, who knows? Possibility's endless. And I'm not saying he's a good guy. I don't know this guy. I've heard all this stuff. But if you saw what I saw, come on. The taser was not even, like, necessary. This is crazy. Who video records their own murder by a Charlotte County Sheriff's civil servant? No one. If he was in imminent danger to that officer, imminent danger, right? He would have a weapon and not a cell phone recording. This is so crazy ridiculous. But anyways, is he connected with the Fort Myers sheriff? Yes. That's much as I want to say about that. I'm sure you can imagine why. So that's my answer. Oh, did I miss stuff? She said so. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not allowed to say so many things. It's very hard for me to stay on track. Yeah. I'm trying to see. Yeah, Rick was a freaking boss? Yes, 100% he was. A quiet one, too. He didn't need any, like, yeah. He didn't have any reason to not be. So, that's kind of where all this stuff, you know, kind of came up was, thank you for all the things and the thank yous and the thank you. I'm trying to, wait, Tasha will, yeah, she was his first assistant. He bought her a house and some other things I've heard. Things he never bought me. Well, that I didn't let him buy me. Not that it wasn't on the table, but. So, yeah. Oh, that's all in here, too. Paper trails for days. And then, once his wife at the time found out, because they were still married, then Rick had to get involved and make it look like it was like some kind of a business deal or house or whatever. But she's very like, oh, yeah, like, no, she never paid for anything until Barb found out. Cash money all the time, spending trips, all the things. Who knows what else? Possibilities endless. But, yeah. Sheesh. Yeah. You want to see a picture of the house? Hold on. I'll show it to you. Cute little thing. Oh, thirsty, you guys. You could keep. So what did you get in kind? Yeah, no. So my bills were paid. You know, I got paid by SLD for doing my job, and then the house that I lived in, Bruce owned. He bought for me after my divorce. Like, go back in the lives, and I really kind of like break it all down, which. Technically, when I signed the mortgage after Hurricane Ian with property damage, would have been considered like predatory lending, according to like the Frank Dodd Act. But I trusted him, and I never paid anything for it before that or after that, except for 3 mortgage payments that I have cashier's checks for. After I got, you know, screamed at and threatened and all this crazy stuff fired this one day in October after Rick passed because I wouldn't, you know, write the checks and do the things that he wanted me to do. So he said he was going to kick my kids and I out on the street. So I paid him and his mom, who were on the fake mortgage, 3 different mortgage payments. And then I didn't pay anything else again either. Just because I didn't know what to do, like, until I got an attorney and all the things. We still looking for this cutie little house he bought her, but I was paid a paycheck from SLD for doing my job. So all the in-kind stuff was, you know, like the stuff I shared last week. All of, like, the sexual harassment stuff. All, like, you know, the taking care of his mom stuff. All, like, you know, the you know, I'm his +1 to freaking everything. I wear white when he wants me to. Hey, girlfriends, chime in because you all know that's true. I mean, the judge, like, so the PCA is like, oh, you just work for him. Like, come again? I moved every girlfriend in and out of those houses, multiple houses. Like, I did all the things that nobody knew about or wanted to know about. Rick knew, April knew, like, my family knew. Like, I mean, yeah, super bossy boss. No, No. I had no rules. Even when I worked for the other companies, he was still the big boss, and I worked at FTC, and I bet you could ask the two primary owners of that company if they could tell me kind of what to do, and the answer would be no, and I have text messages to prove that. The fine line gift certificate from a company he didn't know. Yeah, should I share that again? Because that's fun. I know, so I put it up on the banner. He had no idea. Ay. It's like, so someone asked me before, what do I hope to get out of this? I'm like, honestly, transparency. Like, transparency with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. Like, if you can do this to someone just because a middle level rich guy thinks he's important. I mean, thankfully, Rick was not this kind of person, but can you imagine the possibilities that would happen if you had an actual rich person like Ricky Rich, and if he were a bad guy, which none of this would have ever been allowed to happen had he still been breathing. But, I mean, should it not terrify everyone? A little bit. How can you do all of the, like, how? But you can, with nothing. And like I've said before, I'm like an ID channel expert, and I've never seen anything like this before. So I think it's wild that this is all possible, but here we are, doing it. Anyways, so many papers. I'm going to find this little house for you guys. And try to see. Yeah, the fine line thing, super cute. And that wasn't even like the first one. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But that's the thing, you know? When do I get a jury or people? Or when does Amira Fox recuse herself from this? Does that handyman dude still work for him? He was nice. Which one? If you're talking about, oh my gosh. Matt's the son. What's the dad? Does that hang so soon? They moved me into my house. Oh my gosh. Why am I drawing a blank? Super cool, actually. He has another assistant in Tennessee, if you guys didn't know that. I heard she was pimping around his new white Tahoe recently at Carmelo's. Her name is Jessica Morgan. She's got a kid that kind of looks like him. I'm not gonna lie. Don't know what I don't know, I'm just saying. Oh! It's a cute little house. There's a lot of stuff to go through. The one that worked on the KO Casa house constantly. Yeah, so you have to be talking about, Matt and his dad. And they were super great. And last I heard, worked for FPC. But yeah, he treated them like crap. And so did Jessica Morgan and Brandolyn and everyone else. But I didn't. I loved them. His sister works with Captain Bill. I think we're talking about the right ones. Shout out to Captain Bill. He calls me Miss Texas. So, sorry. I got all these things out last time, and ADHD, I never really put them back the right way. Yeah, it must have last hurricane. Yeah, Captain Bill, yeah, he is awesome. Are you suing them for defamation? I mean, it's a plan. Wouldn't you? I mean, and not just that, but just, I mean, actual law, like actual loss. I can show you on here where I was the buyer's agent for a guy named Nadir Amini out of Miami. And in the 11th hour, right before the contract went hard, literally the day before, I was told by Lynn Beavis that that Bruce had told my buyer that he would was it, that he would finance through the company that he wasn't even like majority owner of, and who April had not even had the opportunity to be named personal representative of the estate for the majority owner of that company, that he would finance them for a year on the contract that I had negotiated if he would drop me. And they did. And I have it all in writing too. So you're talking like actual money loss. Yeah, Remax loan, like, oh, we could go on that for days too. Like, how many lawsuits can one file? You just kind of get tired of it at a certain point and just, you know, go after the one that cost you the majority. But, I mean, yeah. Will I ever sign an NDA? No. Will I write a fun book? Hopefully. So, yeah, I mean, the rest of it, for sure. But this thing is way deeper and wider than it will blow your mind, ID channel. I'm just trying to get to the, you know, how can this guy have a blood alcohol level of 0.161 and then be charged with a 0.8, what was it, 0.085 or 0.85? Oh, gosh, different. It's ridiculous. Like, so ridiculous. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, this was all from his first, you know, his first DUI that he worked really hard, had me work really hard to get expunged. Which he also said he was not drunk for that. But he, blew a, hold on. Drunk driving. That's the other thing. How do you, like, how's he still driving a car right now without one of those blowy things? Because he had one of those blowy things before. It is a small town. I know. When I first started working for him, like I said before, I didn't even realize what a small town it was. And I would introduce myself as Bruce Lashley's assistant that does not have you know what with him. Gary Bain say it's not true. True. Oh yeah. All of that all the time. By lunchtime, we had a bar in our office, alcohol all the time. Hundo. I've been in the car with him as like after lunchtime, and he's like clipping cars next to him. Not kidding. But you know, here's $500, go away. Does anyone remember that the big F-250? Because it is a small town. So let's just ask all of our friends. I know Carlton Hughes remembers it because he's the one who showed it to me, laughy laugher face. So Bruce had gotten a little too drinky and had not put his big black F-250 in park in PGI and had literally his big F-250 rolled back into the canal. And people have pictures of it. But I'm pretty sure that never went on insurance. He just, like, got it out. And then, you know, went to Ford and got fixed or whatever. But these are facts. These are people who saw. These are, like, say that's not true. That's true. Small town pictures don't lie. If someone could send me that picture, it would actually be hilarious. I wish I would have had the foresight to think about it at the time, but, you know, I was, like, so loyal and, like, oh, no. What did he do this time? Let his truck back up into the canal in PGI. So, Carlton Hughes, you know you saw that. I'll take a lie detector any day. Give me a jury. But this is wild. Amira Fox, what are you doing with your life? Seriously. Anyways. She's getting paid. It's really not funny, but it's true. So, yeah. Oh, I saw many of things at that KO Pasta house. It's actually an LLC now. I did that for him. I believe it's called KO Costa Island House LLC. You could look it up on Sunbiz. It's him and guess who? Brandolin. on it. So whenever people ask, what was I paid in kind and why? Why would he do that? That's another answer while I continue to look for this house that I know I have a picture of. Because he could write all of that off on his taxes, guys. So should we throw in tax fraud or no? I don't know if the IRS cares, but I feel like they should. Yeah, what a shame. Whatever. What the shame has just been watching everybody just in all this. Oh gosh, look. Let me show you. This was the contract that I was just talking about. Look at who it is. So, this was the property. Okay. Oh yeah, I have books on books, bud. I can tell you what you did in 1962 at 3:52 p.m. and I wasn't even born then. But you know what will do that for you? Some bad high school boyfriends. To all you out there, cheers. You made me the best PI, and I thank you for it. Thank you for your service. Contract termination, executed contract. Oh, this is exactly what I was just telling you guys about. Like the day before it went hard, because Bruce said that he would personally finance them. Facts on facts on facts. I think this alone cost me like between 60 and 80 grand actual money. And that's just one. He was telling people I was on unemployment. They shouldn't work for me. Nope. I brought all that stuff to April early on and showed them that's not true. I was never on unemployment because unemployment would have meant that I was taking money from SLD, which was Rick's company, and I never would have done that because Rick was always really good to me. What was that? Yeah, I don't know what we're humming, but if you ask, I could explain it better. I don't know what the hum meant, but if you look, oh, looky, found it. Okay, so this was his first assistant. Oh, there's her signature. Oh boy, there went a bunch of papers. Now it's gonna suck to put together. So everything, the house that she had, and the money that he gave her, and what they did was in this LLC called Diamond, not spelled properly, but DYAMEND Properties Inc. That's her name. Again, tell me I'm lying, anybody. This was her house. She paid nothing for this house until Barb found out. And then, whoopsie. And then she was not allowed to be his assistant anymore. And she had to start paying for the house. And Rick got put on the house so that it would look like a legitimate investment and not whatever it was. Which was a different role than I played in his life, to be honest. I was a different kind of assistant. When she was his assistant, his wife Barb handled all of his actual business things, which is why he would go on to tell everyone who would ever listen that that's why they had to get divorced. He had to publicly humiliate her by dating, what is it, like Nicole Ivankovich or something. Look up the news. Like, it's all over the place. While he had a whole family, children, all the things. This is why Brandolyn is concerned, because this is not the first time her dad has went rogue. Or the second or the 10th or the 100th million. But like, shame on her, because we always had, like, you know, I went and tried to fix her cable at her house in Sarasota, like, on, like, I mean, I wouldn't say my dime, because he paid for, you know, in kind, like, my stuff for me to take care of his family, which I did, but I was in Sarasota many a days at her house. My husband was in Sebastian on, like, another one of her houses. Also, guys, Bruce and I and my husband still to this day have a lake house together that we all own 33.3% in. None of that's in the PCA. Amira, make it make sense, Miss Fox. Ugh. Anyways. I'm so tired and disgusting. Thank you guys for doing yet another live with me. I'm going to try to fix this huge book now that I've destroyed half of it on the ground. And, I don't know, take a shower and go back into the woods tomorrow to create a happening Halloween for all these little kids. Just in case Amira Fox and Bruce and this guy are able to send me to prison on fake stuff. Maybe this is my last Halloween. Who knows? I'm going to live it up. So, yeah, I don't know where my guy with the meet and greet at Leroy's, the planner is, but, I mean, I'll show up in this cool Survive Bruce Lashley, like, not all the way yet, but, you know, I'll wear it to the meet and greet if you guys, like, want to meet and greet. Oh, dang, I want a free house. They need assisted again. Oh, I hear he's not showing up to a lot of stuff these days, so I'm not sure. I'm not allowed to talk to him. I have to ask somebody else. Oh, I made homemade pumpkin pie from scratch. Oh my gosh. Do you have swag coming out? I mean, we should. Where you at? The Just Nick method? I've been telling her. I've got ideas for days. Oh gosh. Okay, so we should get off. When my kids start telling me what they're doing on the live, we should be done. I'm going to have to go mom now because I haven't seen them all day, but one of my kids is showering, one of my kids is home. Another one of my kids has made pumpkin pie from scratch. So I'm out, guys, on that. Okayest mom of the year. Thanks for coming. Feel free to message me, whatever. I'll answer all your questions, be the judge, do all the things. I have nothing to hide from the jump. Yeah, this is what my actual face looks like. The end. Good night. See you Tuesday.